Hi, it is the human operating system time again. So I received questions from our friend asking me why do I say that mindfulness need human operating system to make it more effective. So today I like to share with you what is the reason. If we go read magazines, books, or videos in the websites, we can see the term mindfulness is all over the place. So that means that there is a big market or the needs for the mindfulness. Now, if we look closely, mindfulness today become a type of fashions. You have mindfulness meditations apps in the smartphone. You have mindfulness eating or everything all over the place. And however, what exactly is mindfulness in general? Okay, I'm not talking about some specific mindfulness, where professional practice. I'm talking about the mindfulness which is feel 80-90% in the environment or in the media. Now, in order to know what really is mindfulness, one needs the human operating system. Because if we want to make something works, not just fashions or some type of belief or some types of just entertainment, we need a scientific base, which is be able to be repeat, reliable, and can be valid or verified. Now, with that, we need the three principles of the human operating system. Namely, the first one is the H model. Okay, which is one need to model exactly what is one talking about when we want to talk about mindfulness and so forth. The second is the H-core principle, which is one need to know what is mindfulness core into. Okay. The third is the H-handling, okay, which is the third principle of the human operating system. While H-handlings have three methods of handling which is needed. The first is one need to aware of what is one targeting. The second is one need to be able to adjust, okay, or balance that object which one need to handle. The third is one need to leave that object alone so the nature can take its place to balance out the object. Okay, I'll make an example later on this thing. And in these three principles, the adjust is actually, as in the recent YouTube I present, it is about intentionally regulating, okay? And then the leave it alone so that the nature can take its place to settle, to balance. It is the natural resonant state. And one needs this to handle the object one like to handle, okay? So let me give you the details. Okay. Now, first we want to know what exactly is mindfulness, where 80-90% of the people who present in the magazine, video, and so forth today. Okay, so if we pull out the H model, okay, which is the calmness and awareness model, this is a calmness, this is a awareness. Okay, we know that actually mindfulness is equal to awareness. Okay, mindfulness meaning that one be able to aware of a certain thing. Okay, so if you look at all the definition today on mindfulness, it is a synonym of awareness. And we know awareness, as soon as we are human, since 1,000 years ago, awareness is actually a function of calmness. Okay? So awareness is a function of calmness. And mindfulness, which is actually awareness, is also a function of calmness. Okay? So, as in this calmness awareness map, we know that the degree of calmness, say this is a level 1, level 2, -1, -2, is associated to a level of awareness. Okay? So it's awareness 1, awareness 2. Okay? So you can call this is like the mindfulness 1 minus mindfulness 2. And they are different. Okay? So if we get into the negative mindfulness, okay, there's a negative mindfulness here. So this is the mindfulness, okay, which is based on, say, the calmness of -1. That is like when we are emotion, do we still mindful? Okay, we get into the tunnel visions when we get mad. Okay, so as you see from here, mindfulness itself need the human operating system to define it, to make it more clear, because mindfulness is a function of calmness, and we cannot simply talk about mindfulness ignoring the calmness state. And calmness, we need to develop it. Okay, there's no assumption. Okay, if you calmness 0 here is different than calmness 1, is different than calmness 2, and thus the awareness here, they are totally different, or awareness in negative, they are totally different. So if when we get mad, how mindfulness we are. When we go to vacation, when everything is fine, well, we can have a lot of what we call that, the space, and then non-judgmental and so forth. However, when the calmness is dropped, well, so mindfulness itself has to define clearly with the model. Otherwise, it is unrepeatable, because when people talk about mindfulness, or what are we talking about? Okay, it's not specific, it's not quantized, and then mindfulness can be anything here. Okay, so the mindfulness, this is calmness, this is awareness, or we call it mindfulness. So when we talk about mindfulness, are you talking about mindfulness 1 or mindfulness 2, or mindfulness -1, or mindfulness -2? Well, you cannot say This or be mindfulness. Okay, and due to this calmness, because mindfulness depends on calmness, and calmness is actually can be defined now as inverse proportion to stress. Okay? Under different stress level, you will get different type of mindfulness. Okay? So we need to be clear with that in order to be able to repeat something, get something reliable, and be able to verify. Otherwise, what are we talking about? Okay? It's non-scientific at all. And if it's not scientific at all, how can we repeat it? How can we develop anything? Okay? Now, one thing we do know today, that this so-called calmness, okay, so this is awareness, this is calmness. This calmness, say this level 1, level 2, level 0, level -1, level -2. Now, we can associate that or map that into the heart rate variability based scoring, where stress can be scored. So stress can be scored with the heart rate variability based calculations, okay, or model. Now, so if we use this heart rate variability based stress level, this -2 can be mapped into, say, the score of 0 of stress, and then this can be a score of 25, this is score of 50, this is score of 75, this is the score of 100 if we use this stress scoring or the digital model. Okay. People have been studying that, and it exists technology. So we can quantize and define calmness pretty clearly for human. Okay? Now, make it even simple. We can associate. Okay? So this is for the heart rate variability stress scoring. Okay? 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 Now, make it even simple, where everybody today who have a fitness watch or activity watch can track it, is we can associate with heart rate or heartbeat. So over here, at the 0 calmness, we can associate with the heart rate of 80, the resting heart rate of 80. When we are rest, if the heart rate is if the heart rate is 80, then we can associate with the 0 calmness. When in the rest, if the heart rate of 70, then we can associate to the calmness of 25 or calmness of or 1. Okay, so at rest, if our heart rate is 60, then we can associate with the calmness of 2. And at rest, if our heart rate is 90, then we can associate with a -1. When at rest, our heart rate is 100, we can associate with a calmness of -2. Now, with this heart rate, okay, anybody can just sit down there for 5 minutes at all conditions and see how calm is one. If one is have a heart rate of 60, okay, and this is, I mean, for the people who is healthy, more or less healthy, or ordinary people. Heart rate of 60, that is pretty calm. If the heart rate of 70 is still pretty calm, okay? Now, heart rate of 80 is usual. When you get to 90, you know that it starts stress, and you know that you're not that calm anymore. Heart rate of rest heart rate of 100. You know you are some kind of stress. You're not calm at all. Okay. So this can be quantized. Okay, and just let it simple. Let's do it simple. So this is calmness. This is awareness or mindfulness. You want to call it whatever. So this is the calmness of 0, calmness of 1, calmness of 2, calmness -1, calmness -2. Okay. Now this associates with the heart rate of 60, heart rate or heartbeat of 60. This is 70. This is 80. This is 90. This is 100. Okay. Very simple. You sit down there and you measure it and see what happened. Okay? Where are we? So, if we have a heart rate of 90, just for example, we come out from a fight, okay, with our girlfriends or with our wife or with a husband or with your boyfriend, do you think we're going to get a mindfulness here, which is associated with the heart rate of 60? Or are we going to get something here, which is a negative mindfulness because we go for it, want to get even and so forth. Okay. So this is one of the reasons why we need to know the model of the human operating system. We need to fit that into so that to make the so-called mindfulness useful, or the awareness, so we know where we are. And we know how to develop this calmness stuff. Okay? Now, another thing is, when we talk about mindfulness, again, with the human operating systems model, we know we can model human, very simple with the physical body, with the mind, with the breathing, with the energy neural. Okay, it's like your autonomic system. Okay, which is, of course, this is going to relate to your heart rate or heart rate variability, because it's deal with your neural system and your heart and so forth, right? So we know that in the human operating system, you have the model, you have this 4-layer model. Okay, this is a 4-layer model. Okay. So when we're mindful, we need to know what are we mindful, what specific layer are we talking about. Okay. We need to know that. Otherwise, we say, well, I'm mindful of this, I'm mindful of that, but what it is. For example, people talk about relax. Okay, so we often say, oh, just relax. Well, now we need to know, is it relaxing the physical body, or relaxing the mind, or relaxing the breathing, or relaxing the energy neural layer? Which one do we need to relax? And by knowing specific which one need to be relaxed, we can work with it. We just cannot simply say, oh, relax. Well, for example, the body is at stress, and then you just say relax. But you try to think something positive. Well, how is that is going to produce effective result or efficient handling to handle this physical body? Okay, it's not likely. So, for example, I give you a specific example. Okay. For example, We all work in computer. We all work with computer, right? It is usual that we have the shoulder tension. Okay. Now, if I want to work with that shoulder tension, what good is mindfulness if we will not be able to, number one, aware of, is it physical, or is it mind, or is it breathing, or is it something else, neural energy stuff? Okay. So, for example, right now we say that this is shoulder is tense. Okay. Now, according to the H-handling principle of the human operating system, we know this is tense. Okay. And according to the human operating system principle, we need to adjust this thing or balance this thing. Or in other words, it's called intentionally regulate this thing, the shoulder. So what we do, we massage it because we know this is a physical layer issue. And of course, this is got to do with your nervous and so forth. So massage is a very direct way to help it, right? And after we massage it, or we put a heat pad on it, we rest, let the body alone and let it do its own job. Okay, after you put the heat pad, you massage it. So that's how to handle this the shoulder tension. Okay, now if we instead, when this is tense, we don't know what it is, we say we have to be mindfulness, or something doesn't feel good. So we're going to do what? Counting the breathing. What is that going to help us? Or we say, no, we're going to scan our body. Or we do progressive relaxations from our toe up to our head. How effective and efficient is those means to solve this shoulder tension issue? Okay, it's not going to be effective because this is physical body. It's not to do with your mind. It's not to do with your breathing directly. What directly is need here is a massage to soothe it off, or to put a heat pad, and then to leave it alone. Okay. So that is the means to handle this, okay? And also, in order to handle this tense shoulder, you need the skill of massage to put the heat pad if needed, and then the leave it alone for a while, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so that the body loose up itself, okay, or give you the rest. That need a skill, a training. If one have no understanding on this, how to deal with it, how to handle it, one is not going to do anything with it. Okay, it's just like, oh yeah, I know, just go counting your breathing. Can you counting breathing to release the tension here? You can. And also you need to aware of this. And we can see many times, and it's often that when we get into a fight or when we into a tense state, stress state, to work in some emergency or something, we couldn't even aware of that our shoulder is tense up until we finish the job, and then say, oh, this is so painful, this is so stressed, right? So that related to the calmness level. When we are in emergency or in a really tied up situations, our mindfulness level is going down. Okay, And that has to be addressed in order to get result to dissolve this stress. And this thing can get into all the 4 layers, right? Because human is much more complicated. You have the body layer, the mind layer, the breathing layer, the energy neural layer. Okay, now we don't even here talk about the clear out the mind. Well, if there's a lot of worry there, so what techniques, what adjustment need to use, or what balancing, or what intentionally regulating act we need to perform in order to clear the mind, okay? And then how to leave it alone so that it enter into a deep rest, okay, where only at deep rest you can charge your body energy. Okay, so how deep the rest on all this handling is going to relate to your energy. For example, for the shoulder tension issue, you put a heat pad, you want the body to rest so that it be able to recover. And how to get to the deeper, the level of the rest adequate to get it recovered. There is a questions there that need training and understanding, that need to be scientific. It's not just, oh, I'm mindful of this, I'm mindful of that. Okay, this pain, I put my mindfulness there. Well, you can put your mindfulness there. If you need a heat pad or aspirin, you need a heat pad or aspirin. And then you need rest. Okay? So this is to share with you. It need to be scientific to get result. Mindfulness cannot be just a fashion of philosophy or a belief. It doesn't work that way. Well, the ancient, the Buddhists, the Chinese, the Taoists, the traditional Chinese medicines, in Qigong, in meditation, they don't do those kind of fashion stuff. They get into all these things in details. And I am just expressing whatever in the ancient technology here in today's language. So this is why I say mindfulness need human operating system to make it effective. Okay? So this is to share with you today. And this is a very useful ancient technology. However, we need to really clearly define it and map it in today's language or scientific language. So this is to share with you today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to comment under this video or in my YouTube or in the my blog. And please sign up if you think my my video or blog is helpful, so that you don't miss when I present or sharing